deep breath and remember who you are. Yeah, they're gonna mess with you, baby, you're a star. Stepping in the spotlight, you know that it feels like time to put up a fight, honey. Got nothing left to lose, so let's start right now. Everybody want a piece of you. Gotta give them what they want, it's true. You're symphonic, yeah, so iconic. If you didn't know before, now you know. Now you know. Take a big step away from who you were. Flashing that smile and the whole world's a blur.
Positively powerful. Flash me that smile. Happy Wednesday, 10 a.m. Dreary, maybe a little rainy, maybe a little cool, but life is grand. I'm here with Stacey Steinmiller and executive coach extraordinaire, etc., etc. And if you haven't done it already, you should subscribe to Stacey's blog via the Substack. Throw down the deets. How do we do that? Where is it at?
The deets, I believe that's radicalevolution.substack.com. Is that what it is? I should probably look these things up ahead of time. Let me type it in and see what happens.
I could have told you I was going to say that so that you were prepared.
Substack. I just don't know the ending.
Well, either way, we'll put it in the comments.
That's what it is.
This seems to be a good roadmap for some of the things that we're going to talk about, which I like. And in the latest article, you had a prompt, which I'm
pulling it up.
Which
right
I had up here, and then everything reset, so I don't see it. But
I got it. You want me to read it?
Yeah, you read it.
Okay. The prompt is: What part of your life once saved you, but now feels too small for who you are becoming?
And that's huge.
So, yeah. And it probably makes more sense if you read the article first. But basically, I'm talking about looking at things that were really important, a big part of your life, maybe really positive and maybe an integral part, something like that. And then it's maybe you feel the tides changing with that. And that can be really scary. It's almost like this existential crisis can happen when we experience that. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't know if I feel aligned with this anymore. I feel like things are changing. And then that scares us. And then we attach to like, well, no, it has to be like this. This is what worked. And oftentimes I find we suffer a lot by trying to attach to what once was, versus allowing the evolution to take place.
Yeah, and it's almost like you're putting yourself in a box that you thought you wanted to be in, and then you realized like maybe you're outgrowing that box. I don't know.
Yes.
This has happened to me numerous times in my life, right?
Yeah,
like
same.
going back as far as when I first got married and started my family, playing music was a huge part of my life. I was in 2 bands. I played drums and guitar and was always, and now I still love music, but do I play it anymore? Absolutely not. And you could make an argument that that's a bad thing, or I really do love playing music, but I put my identity as a parent and the future of my family's income and all that kind of stuff took a priority over because it wasn't like, now I guess it would be a different thing if I were a professional musician. I was making my money as a musician, and that's who I identified as, but it's not. I identified as a musician kind of as a hobby, And it's something that I really enjoyed doing that helped me kind of, it still was someone who I was, but not in the sense that I needed it to pay for, pay rent and stuff like that.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
like completely changed. And the interesting thing is over the years, and even as recently as last year, I've tried to grab back on to that
Mm,
identity, and
yeah.
it just didn't stick because it wasn't. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like I really wanted to. Like I bought a new guitar, and I'm like, I'm gonna start playing guitar, and I bought this thing for like online lessons. I'm like, I'm gonna pick it
Mhm.
up, and just other things took priority again. And so I
Yeah.
thought about it, and I'm like, well, I guess it's not as important to me as I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can change, right? Yeah. It's interesting. It can be feel like a really weird process, a weird experience to recognize your relationship with something has changed. And it also means it's not gone forever too, you know. It sounds like, you know, maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years, maybe at some point it will happen again. And then the big thing on that is I think it's important too is to start a new relationship with whatever it was instead of trying to reestablish the old relationship, if that makes
Ah,
sense.
yes. So approach it differently, um, and especially now with more understanding of energy and
Mhm.
my energy and how I approach things. Like that wasn't even in my head.
Right,
So
at the
I can
time.
totally
Yeah.
see how when I approached it, it was really kind of half-assed. It was kind of like if if I have time in the
Right,
morning, I
which is
think I should
not
come.
going to work. Right. You can't
Yeah,
set any, first of all, you can't set any goal that way. That's,
right, right,
you know, a recipe
right.
for failure. Um, so yeah, so it sounds like, you know, so if we're feeling that pull of like, oh, I would want to reestablish my relationship with the guitar or whatever it is, really kind of sitting down and deciding what that looks like now. Like you're saying, like what energy is alive right now and then developing your plan that way. And you can even do some really weird prompts like, how does my guitar want me to approach it right now? What, like, you know, you can even um, do it like that way, like a
No.
real like relationship, you
As of
know?
right now, my
Um,
guitar is gently weeping in the corner, but
this is
but but so like
one of my favorite songs.
oh yeah. Yeah, my favorite version is Prince's solo in that song, the live
Mm.
version with Tom
Mm.
Petty and all. Oh my god.
That's right. I've seen that.
Oh
I
my
forgot about
god.
that.
Anyway, my my focus when even though like I would come into work and I would be like, all right, I'm going to take the first hour of my day and practice guitar and then I'll start my day. And that just didn't happen because I realized that my focus was this place, was
Yeah.
this business. And it always took
Yeah.
a
Precedence.
driver. Yeah. It was like, there's no way that I've got too much stuff to do. I can't come in and spend the first hour playing guitar. It almost felt selfish. It was like,
Mm.
how dare I explore, a pastime that I want to play with when there's so much important things to do,
Right.
which
Yeah.
can argue
Which
that.
there's growth there. Yeah. I could, you know, you could probably hear my voice already responding to that.
Yeah.
um, right. Because then it's okay. Well, does playing the guitar connect me? Like, does it ground me? Does it get me connected with myself and my creativity and my flow? Then, if so, then now all of a sudden that becomes a very big priority, right? To start the day in that energy, which then you know, move from for the rest of the day. And like these are the things we've talked about too, about like when you're feeling stuck in your head, you know, going for a walk, and it's not that walk or playing the guitar or whatever it is taking away time from what you're doing. It's actually setting the stage for things to be better and for you to feel better in what you're doing. So that would be my argument. Or is that
Yeah,
what
and
you
you
already
know
know
what?
that one?
The interesting part about that is, like, if I were to, at some point in my past, if you would have said, does playing guitar ground you, and I would have been a resounding yes. But in the 25, almost 30 years that time has passed where I haven't played, my skill level has dropped into the toilet. So,
It's not grounding anymore.
yeah,
I
so
know
now
that
it's
feeling.
frustrating. Now it's frustrating because I can't play the things that I used to play. Right? I don't have the chops anymore. So I try to, like, play some chords and it just sounds terrible, and I get frustrated and I put it down. I'm like, I don't want to freaking do this because I got to start over. I got to learn,
Right.
I got to learn it all over again. And it's like, that's too much work. I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll just learn French instead, or German. That's the other
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Right. And that's the thing of why it's so important to start a new relationship with whatever it is. Because then, yeah, you're putting expectations on it to be a certain way, which is just not, and that's with real relationships, right? Like, why don't you act the way you did when we first met? You know what I mean? You're putting these like expectations that just, it's not helpful versus what's alive right now, what's true right now. That's where we have to start instead of resisting it.
And I like that that concept of creating a new relationship with it. Like, it's not something that I actually considered, but it makes perfect sense. It's like, okay, let's almost pretend that I've never played guitar before and I'm interested in it, and I want to learn. How would I approach that coming from that, angle? Like, I've never touched the instrument before. I've never, like, let's play with this and see how it goes. As opposed to, I want to be where I was 25 years ago and getting frustrated because it's not possible to just suddenly be, and some people can, some people have a certain skill level where they can put it down for 30 years and then pick it up, and a week later they're like back to where they were before. But I wasn't like that.
I mean, I don't know about that, but yeah, it's I think everybody really has to restart in some way, shape, or form. So that's like beginner's mind. You might hear that, like that term. So can you approach any new endeavor with that beginner's mind? And the desire to learn versus the desire to already be an expert, the desire to already know. That's a mindset issue I've historically has struggled with my entire life is I feel very uncomfortable not knowing. So when I put myself in situations in which I don't know, I hate it. My ego hates it. It really throws a hissy fit, and then that's what's like, well, this isn't worth it, this is stupid. But really it's me just being uncomfortable with not being great at something because I don't like that feeling.
I totally can identify with that. Totally. And now I'm thinking which things in my life right now should I re-examine my relationship with, and perhaps start anew.
Yeah.
You know what I
In a
mean?
new way with a new energy.
It could be this where I'm at right now, and my daily, adventures as an entrepreneur and small business owner. And that's something that, we've been working on for a while, and it's still there's an inconsistency there where I still fall back into like this feeling of meh, 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 and I try to create, it's really more about the way I've been doing it is more about like focusing on different things and not necessarily changing my relationship with it. Like that's actually pretty deep, that I think I would need to learn how to do that, especially with something that you do every day. That's part of your life. That's a major goal. It's like, how do you restart that relationship with that part of your life that's so big? And that's something that you had to do with your job.
Yes.
With your profession, which is a huge undertaking. How did that go for you? How was that? I know it's in the article, but
kind of. There's so
sum it
much
up.
I could write
Yeah.
every week for years
It's a big
about
subject.
just this one thing, right? But part of me was really in denial of how big of a shift it was. I was like, well, coaching's like pretty much therapy, just a different word and different focus, whatever. It's the same thing. I'm just doing the same thing. And it was like a couple years later. I can't remember what I was thinking about, what I was doing. I was driving. This always happens when I'm driving. I know that part. And I called a friend of mine and I was like, I just really up and started a completely new business. This was like 2 years into after having closed my therapy practice and just solely in coaching. And it like dawned on me. I was like, what? I like really just did that later. So yeah, I was in denial that for a while as to how big of a change that I made in my life. So that I don't recommend being in denial, but you asked how I dealt with it. Well, I would say the first couple of years I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I totally get that. And I mean, kind of when I say my hand was forced to go full time here.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my job in radio and they cut my pay, cut my hours. I didn't see the management was changing. I didn't like the direction it was going. I didn't like my place in the future of that. And I was like, well, what do I do? Do I spend the first 5 hours of my day here sitting, at the radio station, sitting in a studio, knowing that there's no place for me to go? There is absolutely no upward mobility in my job.
Right.
Or do I take and start a new relationship with my career and take on this venture?
Yeah.
And that was, and I think for a while I didn't think about it like that. I didn't what's the word? What was the word you said?
Denial?
You didn't. Yeah, I was in denial about who I was and what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, it was almost like I just decided to do my part-time job more as opposed to making it a full-time job.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And that's huge. I'm glad you brought that up, especially with entrepreneurs. And because that's why I think the identity piece for us, I would say is so much more important than if you're not an entrepreneur. Because like you see that energy difference of if you're just like, well, I'm just doing this thing on the side more. Well, how seriously are you going to take your job? How hard are you going to push yourself? How many uncomfortable things are you going to do to make it work when you're like, I'm just kind of doing this thing on the side versus this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going after. And this is what's going to happen. And in order to make that shift, you really have to create an identity with that. And now I know we're now on a whole different topic, I feel like, but
imagine that. Imagine
how
that.
does this happen? But yeah, but that's where it's recognizing, and I think that okay, I'll bring it back to the prompt so we don't go too far all over the place, is then recognizing, oh, this identity or seeing this as, oh, I'm just doing this part-time thing more, like that's not serving me, right? I need to kind of let that whole part way of seeing it go and start this new venture in the energy that can take me to where I want to go, to where I actually want to be. So yeah. So anyways, to try and bring it back a little bit.
and that's, that was what happened shortly after. I mean, this was pretty much at the height of the pandemic in 2020, so.
Yeah.
I think we're all out of sorts anyway. Like we weren't, it wasn't
reevaluation of everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There was so
Yeah.
much to reevaluate, and our and a bunch of us were always tired of hearing that new normal, the new normal. But
Mm,
that's what it was. It was
yeah.
definitely, things were all just thrown around, and we're like, I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on here or where it could go,
Yeah.
because who knows what's going to happen. It was just sort of
Right.
way out there. But because of that time in the pandemic, there were things that were brought to my attention. Like, for instance, there was those EIDL loans that they made
Oh, right.
available.
Yeah.
And that was when I said, all right, I'm doing this full time. I'm making a commitment.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna take this loan, and I'm gonna make
Yeah.
this company work.
Yeah.
And that
Which is
was like
awesome.
no turning back. That was like burning my ship. It was like, that's it.
Yeah.
We ain't going back.
Right.
But after that happened, that moment was, okay, this is a business. This is an
Right.
actual thing that we're doing. And that
Yeah.
my attitude toward it definitely changed. But I still come back to that point where my identity in this business, I think, has to change. I
Yeah.
think it has to change in some way, because the more I see people walking around and they're, entrepreneur, that it's such a big word now,
Yeah.
and I'm a CEO and all that kind of stuff, and I don't identify that way.
Right. But maybe that might, and there's also kind of the edge there too of like what you resist. And yeah, because there are these things. So first you have to go from, I'm not just an employee anymore. Like I have my own business, and maybe it might be like that solopreneur, like, well, I'm just doing this thing myself, or you see yourself more as a contractor or something like that. But then it's like, well, I would like my business to run without me. Okay. So now I got to hire people now. Right. So now it's like, okay, now I have to identify as a leader. I can't, then there's that part of you like, no, they're just like my friends that I just like pay money to, right? Like, like your mind is always trying to make like discount things, right? Versus, because it's uncomfortable to be like, I'm the founder of this company and I'm the CEO of this company and this is what we do. And then when you identify it, you start to show up. And then that changes the relationship with your business. So I guess going back to that relationship piece is, I really look at my business and people's businesses as this entity to be in right relationship with it, which is on the foundation of being in right relationship with ourselves, right relationship with our business, right relationship with others. And when we kind of get those pieces, things are different. But
I think
yeah,
that's where I'm at right now, is that fork in the road between doing this thing with these people or leading this thing,
yes, yeah,
and making decisions and being confident in those decisions and saying, you know what, this is what my gut is telling me, and this is
yeah,
what we're doing. And
yeah,
I hear your opinion and I respect it, but that's not where we're going with this. And
yeah,
it's going this
yeah,
way. And that is where I'm at right now. And that's the difficult part for
yeah,
my identity as a CEO or as a business owner,
right,
and there's a lot of people running around that are like, I'm an entrepreneur, and they don't have anything really that's
the
much going on,
responsibility,
but
yeah,
they're identifying that way and they're putting it out there and they're creating that reality, and there's something to be said about that.
exactly,
The other part may catch up to where their head's at,
exactly,
and so that's kind of, I have to look at that and go, yeah, maybe that's maybe that's something I need to do and
yeah,
create that new relationship. But
right,
there's
yeah,
always
because then
something.
Right. And there is always something. And then it brings up all your stuff, right? So that's why it's like at each level of our evolution, it brings up all of our blocks, all of our stuff. But then that's where I see it as an opportunity to work through it. And that's why I see business as this another way in our life to grow and evolve for ourselves, because that all naturally comes up as your business continues to grow and evolve, so your relationship with your business does it, your romantic relationship does it, being a parent does it, an athlete or musician, like anything that you're working towards over time and becoming like an expert in or devoting yourself to will bring up all of your resistances, which will challenge your beliefs and bring up a lot of emotion and pain and things that need to be healed. So I find all that pretty cool, if you ask me. Obviously, I get
Yeah.
all excited, like, ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, like,
You know, getting into the nitty gritty of all that stuff where most of us are like, ooh, it's dirt.
right. But for me, it's like, okay, not only do you get to work on growing your business, but you're also like healing your past and pain at the same time, like you can heal, family relationships while you're growing in your business, because it's when you get to a crossroads of, I actually have to, own who I am and say, this is what I love and what I do, and risk being rejected. But in doing that, you recognize, well, I'm the one that's been rejecting myself the whole time, right? And then there's like this big epiphany, and then you do that, and then all of a sudden, maybe these family relationships have become way less stressful than they were, or whatever it is. Like, there's so many things that happen, and that's, I just find that really cool. Like, oh, awesome. Like, I was able to do all this and grow because of my business.
Yeah, and I didn't even. Well, this is something that I've discovered over the last couple of months, is that the growth in business has also contributed to personal growth
Yep.
and understanding myself and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I see. I know what you're talking about. I don't get real excited about all that stuff because it's hard work and it's unnerving sometimes. But when you get through it and you look back, you're like, ah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I
That was
should,
pretty
my
cool.
disclaimer is, I get really excited with other people,
Right,
but
not
you
your
should see
own.
it for myself. I have hissy fits. Like, I have hissy fits and I do all that. My coaches have, I've put them through a lot. But I think it's worth it, obviously, or else I wouldn't be here. And I wouldn't be then doing it with other people. But I should, disclaimer is, it's not pretty as I do it with myself, which I'm trying to share a little bit more about that. My clients, for the most part, really know that I share more, but I don't think the rest of the world knows it as much. So that's kind of also the purpose of, writing these articles every week and so forth, is sharing a little bit more, so people, it develops a good relationship in that trust by people realizing, like, oh, she went through all these dark nights of the soul and continues to
exactly.
go through them.
Exactly. It makes you feel good when you know that your coach has actually personally gone through these things and has experience with it and knows a thing or two about how to get through it. I mean, that's huge. It's not just like, you're not just referring to a manual saying, well, the textbook says that when this happens, you do this. It's like, no, when I went through this is how I dealt with it, and this may be a way that you do it.
Right. And that's a big difference of what I see between being a therapist and a coach. Whereas in my therapy practice, everything you're doing is more from what you learned or from your experience of working with clients, or, things like that. And it's way less to do with yourself. And then now it's like, okay, that shifted a lot. Now it is a lot to do with myself, and that's still an adjustment, right? Even it's been years, but you told, like, don't talk about you for,
Yeah,
so
we're not here to talk
long.
about me. We're here to talk about you.
And then like shifting it.
Well, the link for subscribing will be in the comments. We'll throw that down in there. RadicalLifeCoach.com for Stacey. Come on over to RockVox in Bushnell's Basin. Check out, we're doing some cool stuff with the studios you might be interested in seeing. RockVox.com if you want to book a studio tour and come by and ask us how we can help you with your podcasting goals. And until next time, until next week, we will see you and you will stay positively powerful, right? That's how it works. I think that's how it works.
That's how it works.
Now you know.